Powernet is an open source platform that bridges the gap between the distribution system and the behind-the-meter resources. The Powernet platform is broken down into two main components. At the top level, the cloud coordinator is responsible for coordinating and aggregating behind-the-meter resource. It optimizes the dispatch of those resources, accounting for the network constraints, electricity costs, and user preference. Additionally, it utilizes novel machine learning techniques to forecast future load demand and weather to ensure the system is able. In the lower layer, we have the Home Hub. The Home Hub provides the local intelligence for the home to control its resource. Additionally, the Home Hub forecasts future load consumption based on historical data and generate potential scenarios and quantify its average flexibility to respond to a signal. We built a state-of-the-art lab at Stanford University where we're able to experiment. From the initial concept developed, we realized that this solution is not only applicable for the residential and commercial sectors only, but in pretty much any sector that utilize electricity and are leveraging behind the meter resource. One sector that is highly overlooked but heavily depends on electricity is the agriculture sector. The livestock sector has electricity expenses as a large percentage of the overall expense compared to other segments, which is depicted in the middle graph. Finally, with the livestock, dairy, and poultry are the ones where electricity expenses are more significant. For this study, we look specifically into dairy. From a usage standpoint, the breakdown depends on the size of the farm, herd size, and other factors, but milk cooling and ventilation numbers do not vary much by farm. Ventilation load is the main cause of load peaks, which ultimately affects electricity consumption. And the impact of heat can create multiple problems that ultimately affect milk production and health of animals. As ventilation is required mainly during the day, having an understanding of the rate structure is key to develop strategies to help reduce electricity consumption. Here we represent the current rate structure the dairy farm faces. The key takeaways are, number one, summer and winter have different rate structures where costs in summer are higher and it has peak hours from noon to 6 and off-peak hours, all other hours. Number two, summer has different energy costs for weekdays and weekends. And number three, the demand component of the rate structure is significantly higher during summer, and there are two types of demand charges that the dairy incurs. Maximum peak hours demand and maximum demand, whereas in the winter, there's only the maximum demand. The next step based on the rate structure was to break down system operations. Fans are 1 horsepower nameplate capacity. Also, as they are induction machines, they tend to have high inrush currents and low power factor. These two characteristics can negatively affect the power system. We then look at the power profile of fans in half of the barn as they are in their own electrical circuit. In a typical summer day, fans are usually on starting around 8 a.m. and turn off around 9 and 10 p.m. Then we analyze the potential contribution of solar. Solar has the potential to offset consumption for the majority of the day, including the peak hours, but can help much towards the end tail of the day. The battery contribution can help anytime during the day, whether through energy arbitrage or peak reduction in the last final hours. The Pico blender was installed in each fan with a solar capacity of approximately 1.6 kilowatt per fan. The setup is depicted in this aerial picture of two adjacent barns in the dairy farm. The bottom barn is the one used for testing, where the north pan is used as the control and the south pan is used as the test. This picture also shows the solar panel, sensors, and control room installed to actively monitor relevant parameters of the system. Here we show the system installed in the field. In the left, we show inside the test pen where the Pico blender is installed by the fans. In the middle, we show the two sounding units inside the control room, and on the right, we show the control room. The data block is in charge of communication and storing the data. It leverages different application programming interfaces to send and receive information from devices. Optimization analytics is performed in the cloud by the cloud coordinator, and control actions are sent back to the Power Hub and then to the devices.
In Powernet, we went and looked at ventilation in the Double Diamond Dairy Farm. We actually added intelligence to every fan. In a single barn, you have in excess of a megawatt of power being consumed to cool cows. And you have typically 10 barns like that in a farm. Now you're trying to manage that cooling by taking into account weather conditions like wind. So we had sensors for that. We also measure the temperature of the animal itself using thermal cameras. And then there's an intelligence that's kind of managing all of that. That enabled us to reduce the power, the bills by 80% and the dependency on the grid by another nearly 90%. It makes power far more reliable, gives a lot more controls. So I started seeing all the problems we have in this rural United States in the grid as something we should be able to address right now. And it's a great test bed for a lot of these ideas.